In this video, we're going to talk about the basic physics around plasma skin tightening, and in this way, we're going to learn how and why these techniques work and why they're applied in a certain way. For example, the spot model spot technique, and why if you change certain parameters, say for example like the distance between the spots, you get a different intensity treatment. If you increase the duration of the arc, you get a different intensity treatment, and so on. So the basic point of this video and this presentation is for you to understand the basic principles of electrical arcing for skin tightening, because if you understand that, then the picture, the why, will lead you to understanding the overall picture as why the treatments are carried out in a certain way, and so on. But we're going to jump directly onto the presentation right now. So now we make this picture because electro-dessication is the close relative to electrofulguration, which is electrical arcing, also for eyelid tightening. And as you can see, when we apply the electrode onto the skin, we get a certain amount of heat propagation in there. And this is the same applies to plasma skin tightening. And this is electrofulguration, once again, which is electrical arcing. Applied onto the skin, and you can see the carbonized area in black there. So this is the fulguration technique has been used in dermatology for several years before, and is also referred to as electrocoagulation, because the same physics applied in different ways can lead to different applications in dermatology, in aesthetics, in surgery, for example. Electrical arcing has been used for electrocoagulation and so on. So it's the same physical phenomenon that we're talking about, but the applications are different. And this is just to show you another picture from the literature, and is referred to as electrofulguration when the tip of the device is not touching the skin. And this is another picture of electrofulguration, and you can see that the area carbonized is represented there and is very superficial, and this is what happens normally with electrofulguration anyway, despite of the device you're using. And what happens is that a certain amount of heat is released into the skin, inside the skin, into the skin. A common misconception is that the area is carbonized, the upper area of the skin is carbonized without giving up any heat in the surrounding tissues. And this has been done for a number of years for marketing purposes only, in order to try and differentiate electrical arcing of certain devices which were marketed at a high price with other electrofulguration units for medical applications. This is just the main reason that we found around this claim. But it's not true, because no matter what device you're using for aesthetic application that uses electrical arcing or plasma, after a while the area becomes red. After a while, normally after a few minutes, and after 30 minutes to an hour, the area becomes red anyway, which is a sign of the skin burn, because the basic principle is that we're applying a certain controlled skin burn in order to have that skin tightening to take place. And this is also very clear that a certain amount of heat burn is caused onto the skin when you apply plasma onto the upper eyelids, because then day after you're going to get a certain degree of swelling, which occurs anyway despite the device you're using. And this applies with plasma, lasers, or any other similar devices. So when lasers, you have fractionated lasers and CO2 lasers, different types of lasers that work at different wavelengths, but the main principle, plasma lasers and so on, the main basic principle in skin tightening or eyelid tightening is the same. That's to say, we are giving up a certain amount of heat into the skin, so you have the collagen regrowth and the skin regeneration, which leads to skin tightening. And we're going to show you, just this picture is me, a day after upper eyelid tightening, some crow's feet attenuation treatment there, and a certain amount of lower eyelid tightening too. But that's lower eyelid swelling is not caused by this treatment here, the lower eyelid tightening treatment, but it's caused by that, because in several cases when we perform a high intensity treatment on the upper eyelid, even if we haven't touched that area, we do get the same swelling 1 or 2 days after the treatment was carried out. So it's just to show you that the treatment consists into applying a skin burn. And this is a schematic, a drawing, a simplistic drawing of how the heat is propagated inside the skin. When you apply a voltaic spot onto the skin, a certain amount of heat is released into the skin, and that is proportional to the length of duration of that voltaic burst that you have produced. The intensity of the power intensity of that arc, and that's depending on the power setting of the arc, and also the distance between the spots. But that particular one is proportional to 2 factors. Once again, is the duration of that arc. The longer the duration, the more the heat is, propagated inside the skin. The higher the power level, the more the heat is propagated inside the skin. So, say for example, if you have a certain, say for example, level 1 or 3 battery configuration, you have and you apply it for half a second, or you apply for 1 second, then obviously if you apply for 1 second, the amount of heat released is much higher than if you apply it for half a second. It's just because that heat is propagated for that length of time that you have applied the arc. So this is one important concept. This is just to show you that it's not as if only the empiric results show that there's a certain amount of heat released into the skin, and you cause a certain amount of burn. But this is also in the literature. This is a common knowledge in the literature and in science, that when you apply electrofulguration onto the skin, you get a certain amount of heat released into the skin, and you cannot avoid that by design. So it's not as if a manufacturer can come up with an amazing design which releases heat into the skin without having the consequences of the heat being released as a burn. So, but the point, the trick is just to release the right amount of heat into the skin to trigger that skin tightening. And this is another picture that we show you just to show you that, say for example, say on the left picture, let's say we have a 1.1 millimeter ablation, and this is very likely due to not only the power setting of the device, or the duration of that ablation. Say for example, if you use it for half a second and then you ablate the area for 1 second, then the area ablated is much larger, and that heat propagated is also higher, and so on. So this is just to make that point, and this is another picture that illustrates the same point. As to say, it's not only due the heat propagated, the amount of tissue that is ablated is not only due to the power level and frequency of that particular system, is mainly due as well to the duration of the arc, how long you're keeping the arc for. And this is not particularly clear in other parts of market literature or other devices, but this is another picture to show you how the spots are applied for crossfeet attenuation in there. So there's a certain distance between the spots. And now what we know, and we said a number of times on our online training platform, is that the intensity of the treatment using the spot operation is proportional to the duration of the arc, to the intensity of the arc, and the distance between the spots that you applied, those spots here. So the closer the distance, the more the intensity locally of that treatment is going to be. The wider the distance, the less the intensity of the treatment that is going to be, the less intense the treatment is going to be. So many people tend to focus on this particular one, this particular intensity of the arc, and they mention to forget these two important parameters, as to say the intensity of the arc and the distance between the spots, because we have a number of videos online, and in particular we have one where we show you how you can perform the exercising using the Voltaic on a piece of meat, and we show you that by using the same power level but at different timings. So if you use it, for example, for 1 second, you're going to get a different degree of ablation than if you use it for 2 seconds, 30 seconds, and so on. So, and this is quite important. And then we're going to talk about the distance between the spots in the next slide. So we've seen that when we apply these Voltaic spots, we're going to have a certain amount of carbonization and also heat propagation in all directions. So let's apply 2 spots in two different areas of the skin, but close enough. Say, for example, in this part of the skin, if we only apply that spot, then that particular part of the skin is only going to feel the heat propagated from that spot in there. But if you apply another one, it's going to feel the heat from that spot. But if we make that spot a bit closer, then the same area of the skin of the dermal layer is going to feel more heat because the spot, say for example, if it's applied there, it's just closer. So this is why we're saying that the intensity of the treatment is also proportional to the distance between the spots. So the closer the distance, the more the intense the treatment. The wider the distance, the less intense the treatment. This is just to make it clearer. As I say, here we've got, in that point, we've got the heat felt by that particular spot X is the sum of the heat as felt from 2 and the heat is felt from 1. So the closer they are, the more in that point, the more the heat is felt in that point. So therefore, this should actually give you a clear idea of why the intensity of the treatment is proportional to the spot duration, so how long you keep the arc for, the intensity of the arc, how powerful the arc is, the distance between the spots, and the area covered. Because the wider the area covered, the overall intensity is going to increase. And this is the end of the presentation. We hope that you found this video useful. Once again, we thank you for your attention. If you have any particular question, any idea as what you'd find useful in the next videos and in our online content, please let us know. This is all built around you, around your businesses to help you understand these treatments and give you all the tools that you require in order to perform these treatments. Because as we say many times, is not only about the device, it's especially about what you know about the specific treatments using the device. That is what adds the most value into your business. And this is the main purpose for us to release this video, so that you don't need to spend loads of money in order to gain this knowledge. You can do it in your own time, from the comfort of your home, your business, using a tablet, mobile phone, whatever you require. So many thanks again for watching this video, and we'll see you at the next one.